Hello and welcome to Passing Priority. My name's Mike and today we've got a budget upgrade for the new Kaldheim deck of Elven Empire. The commander of this deck is Lathril, Blade of the Elves, who is a legendary elf noble. She is a 2/3 with menace, and when she deals combat damage to a player, we create that many 1/1 green elf warrior tokens. She also has an ability to tap and then tap 10 untapped elves you control and drain our opponents for 10 life, and we gain 10 life. Lathril's ability to drain our opponents adds a brand new win condition to a classic elf ball strategy, which we're going to enhance. So let's start with some cards to add on our upgrades. The deck already includes Elvish Mystic, a 1 mana 1/1 that adds a mana, but it doesn't add its cousins of Llanowar Elves and Fyndhorn Elves. These are two easy includes to help us ramp even faster. Due to us being in black, we have access to 2 more mana dogs in the form of Elves of Deep Shadow and Gnarlroot Trapper. Both of these will ramp us by 1 at the cost of 1 life. Gnarlroot Trapper also has another effect. We can tap it to give an attacking creature we control Death Touch. Combined with our commander's menace, that means if our opponents do choose to block, we'll be trading 2 creatures for our 1. I'm also going to include an Arbor Elf. Arbor Elf is very similar in many cases to an Elvish Mystic in the fact that it untaps a forest. This will in most cases just get us 1 green mana. But I'm also going to include Elvish Guidance, which is an enchantment for a land that when the land is tapped we add green for each elf we control. In our elf ball strategy this is going to get out of hand very fast. Before we move on to our main win condition, let's look at our backup plan. The deck already runs a lot of Anthem creatures, but there's room for a couple more. For us, Elvish Clan Caller is just an elf that provides all our elves a +1/+1 boost. We're also including Elvish Champion, which gives all our elves +1/+1 and Forest Walk. And with green being one of, if not the strongest colour in the format at the moment, the odds of our opponent having a forest are quite likely. We don't have the budget to include the big green finishes of Crater of Behemoth, but we can get Azuri, Renegade Leader, which allow us to spend 2 and 3 green and give all our elves +3/+3 and trample. This will help us push through extra damage, but also help our commander connect, and help us generate more elves to push through more damage, and the elf ball continues. We're also including Elvish Dreadlord, which when it dies will give all non-elf creatures -3/-3, meaning that this will have almost no effect on our side of the board. We can also encore it back out, meaning we can pay 7 mana and exile it, and for each opponent getting a token copy of it. When those tokens die, that could be -3, -6 or -9 to all non-elf creatures, practically wiping the board for us. I'm also including an Occam Adversary. With green being prevalent in the format, the odds of this costing 4 mana are pretty low, and being a Death Touch creature, nobody will want to block it. And just in case we don't have the elf we need to do the job, Wirewood Herald will allow us to tutor any elf to the top of our library, setting up for any of those plays. But on to our main strategy. Our goal of this deck is to make a load of elves, tap them with our commander and drain our opponents out. And to do that, we need to help our commander get through for damage. We're adding 2 cards to help our commander out. We're adding a Rogue's Passage to the mana base, which for 4 mana will give our commander unblockable, meaning she'll definitely get through and generate us some elves. And we're including a neat combat trick in Might of the Masses, which for 1 green mana will pump our commander for the number of creatures we control. Worst case scenario is this will be 1 mana for 1 additional elf, but this could easily snowball out of control if we've already managed to get through us several times and play a couple of our other elves. While tapping our commander once and draining our opponents for 10 life each is a great effect, we don't really want to be doing it once every rotation, which means we're going to need some ways to untap our commander. Seeker of Skybreak is an elf that lets us untap another creature. We're also including a Wirewood Symbiote, which allows us to return an elf to hand to untap a creature. We can use this to untap our commander and reuse the effect of an Enter the Battlefield elf. However, the best card in this deck has got to be Quest for Renewal. Once we get activated by tapping just 4 of our creatures, will allow us to, on each player's untap step, to untap with them. Quest for Renewal is a card we want to keep in hand until we can activate our commander's ability. giving our opponents limited time to react to it. Quest for Renewal is similar to Seedborn Muse, but unlike the kill on sight Muse, this card will fly under the radar, at least for the first time we play it. In order to make room for all these cards, we're going to have to make some cuts. This deck is very well built out the box, but there is a little bit of room for improvement. We're adding 6 more mana producers and additional land, so we're going to cut some lands. We're going to take out our 2 tap lands of Foul Orchard and Golgari Guildgate. And we're going to also take out a basic of each type. Very drastic, but the cuts we're making are reducing the average converted mana cost of the deck down, meaning we hopefully won't need as many lands as our creatures will also be supporting us. I'll also be cutting one of the mana producing elves that's included in the precon. Jaspira Sentinel may be a 1 mana creature, but it requires it and another creature to tap for mana, and some of our new elves fill that slot a bit better. And while a controversial opinion, we're going to be cutting both mana artifacts in this deck, an Arcane Signet and a Soul Ring. While cutting a Soul Ring is a very divided opinion, you'll be thankful later on down the line to have a spare Soul Ring sitting around when you build a deck that needs it more than this one does. We're also going to cut 2 of the legendary elves, Abomination of Llanowar and Harold, King of Skemvar. Both good in their own right, but they really need to pilot their own decks. I'm going to be cutting some of the new cards as well. Serpent Soldier may give us recursion, but once it's destroyed off the battlefield, we lose access to all those elves. I'm also removing Binding the Old Gods and Tegrid's Shadow Cut, as we already have plenty of single target removal in the deck. Masked Admirers, Voice of Many and Twin Blade Assassins, while all card draw cards will only draw us cards very rarely, and their effects are at too high a CMC for us to be choosing to cast these over some of our other cards. I'm also removing Skemvar's Shadow Sage and Cultivator of Blades. While these were tough cuts, they're both pushing the CMC of the deck, and we want to spend that mana more to get multiple elves rather than one big elf. And there we have it. Lathril, Blade of the Elves. Our cuts come to just over $20, but do you think I missed anything? Please leave a comment on anything you think I missed or a card you would have kept in the deck. A link to the list of cards we've added can be found below, with the cuts listed in the description in that link. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you next time.